Alright, it's time to rank another soundtrack, and this time I'm going to be doing Mega Man 2 on the Game Boy, which had much different songs for the Robot Masters than what the NES counterpart had. These were completely original, not Game Boy versions of the NES songs as it was in all the other Game Boy games. Now, this soundtrack is notorious for being terrible, but what really made this soundtrack suck is the production and the instrumentation, not really the songwriting. If you listen to the 8-bit versions of these songs on Mega Man Maker, you'll notice that they sound much better, and the songs themselves are not bad really either. But these are essentially unofficial remasters or reimaginings really, so I'm not going to take into account these improved fan-made versions. I'm going to rank this shitty official soundtrack for what it is. As always, I'm just doing the stage themes, no boss battle, no ending. The intro is a stage, so that one technically counts. In all, there are 10 songs to rank on this soundtrack. I'll preface this like I always do by saying that this list is just strictly my opinion. It's completely subjective. Feel free to post your opinion, what you agree or disagree with. I encourage discussion and debate. So, without any further ado, let's get on with the ranking. Number 10, Hardman. The intro is the only part of the song that is tolerable, and that's because the beat hasn't fully come in yet. Once it does, the open hi-hat sounds like a waterfall that's made of static. It blankets the song completely, making it sound like it was transferred to a cassette that's been submerged in water for 6 years. And to make matters worse, the riffs are performed like shit. They're off-timed in parts, and you've got background notes overlapping onto the lead. It's all just sloppy as hell. It's not even worth being a demo. Number 9, Metal Man. It just sounds like someone let their cat run around on the keyboard. Number 8, Airman. The verses are pretty generic, but that's the least of your concerns, because the way the lead and background instrumentation blends together is oil and water. It's trying so hard to be all layered and creating a cool mesh, but instead it sounds like someone's farting in my ear. And then it gets worse in the refrain, where this annoying, pitchy screeching chimes in from time to time. And they're mixed so much louder, which makes it even worse than it already is. Thankfully, it doesn't last too long. We get the generic verses again for a while, so it's actually a relief to hear something boring. Number 7, Magnet Man. Oh god, that intro riff is terrible, and the robotic bass in the background doesn't help matters, but it transitions into a segment that doesn't quite make me want to self-impose deafness onto myself. It's not a masterpiece by any means, it just does us the favor of not playing so many fucking notes. It leaves some space. What a concept that is. And then there's a little bit of reverb on there too, which actually works for this part, where the song is allowed to breathe, which makes you wonder why they didn't do more of this shit in the rest of the soundtrack. Number 6, Top Man. This is a weird smorgasbord of shitty elements of other things we've heard already. There's a pinch of the cat running around on the keyboard, background and lead notes stepping on each other's toes, and then that static waterfall hi-hat. But there's also a little bit of good mixed with the bad and the ugly, as the riffs don't sound too bad when there isn't another instrument trying to wedge itself in with the lead. Number 5, Crash Man. The lead riff sounds similar to the title screen and final stage song, which we'll get into later, although it's in a different key, and it isn't the same notes, it just has a similar pattern. The turnaround tries to be this awesome little drum roll at the end, but it comes out so fucking flat. The fuck is that? The melodies are strong, and the sections do flow into each other very well, at least on paper. That turnaround drum roll was pathetic. But god, that screechy, pitchy bullshit overflowed this one too. Number 4, Woodman. Wait a minute, was this meant to be Top Man's theme? It's got a similar chord progression and beat to Top Man's NES theme, and it even almost has the same exact drum break. So yeah, this kinda sounds like a shitty, early, undeveloped demo of Top Man's theme, which is a lot more listenable than a lot of this soundtrack. Although that fucking static waterfall hi-hat makes another appearance, just to add some stank. I will say though that the end section that transitions back to the beginning of the loop is pretty cool. Number 3, Quint. Pretty cool riff, but it doesn't change. There are some shifts with the accompaniment, like there'll be a drum fill here and there, and there's a sudden rest in one spot, but that's not nearly enough. The repetitive nature and the riff itself actually makes this seem more like a cutscene or a title screen theme than a Robot Master stage. It's a shame, because with some beef added to this, it could have been much higher on the list. And the production isn't half bad either, at least relative to the rest of this abomination of a soundtrack, which is a fucking shock in and of itself. So this is all ass backwards. We finally get a song with adequate sound quality, but the song itself is underwritten. What the fuck? That being said, even with the repetition, this ranks high just because it doesn't sound like a digital abortion. Number 2, title screen, aka final stage. It's kind of weird that they doubled up the title screen and the final stage together, but here we are. It's got a really cool riff that has that epic feel to it, like you're about to take on the final stage, or take on the game in general, so it does work for both the title screen and final stage. I just think it's weird that they double dipped. But again, the shitty, flat, pitchy notes make it tough to take these riffs seriously. It's like if you tried to play Iron Man on an out-of-tune ukulele and presented it as if it sounded full and badass. The breakdown would have been pretty good too, if it weren't for all that fucking hi-hat waterfall again. And number 1, Needleman. Wait a minute now, doesn't this sound familiar? Yeah, again, it's different notes, but they're definitely going to the well. The main verse is definitely the best part of the song. The refrain leaves a little to be desired. And although that screechy, pitchy noise makes an appearance, it doesn't sound nearly as grating as it does in other songs. It's actually not enough to ruin this song, which isn't half bad. So that's it for this list. Here is a quick recap. Number 10, Hardman. Number 9, Metal Man. Number 8, Airman. Number 7, Magnet Man. Number 6, Top Man. Number 5, Crash Man. Number 4, Woodman. Number 3, Quint. Number 2, title screen and final stage. And number 1, Needleman. So that's it for the list. What did you think of the list? What did you think of the soundtrack in general? What do you agree with, disagree with? Feel free to post your opinions in the comments. That's all for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.